Hello and welcome to Game of Box Office. Today we will take a look at the box office run of Deadpool. Let's start off with some statistics. Deadpool was released on February 12th, 2016 in 3,558 cinemas and is currently 17 days in release. The film was produced by Fox with a budget of $58 million and received an R rating. The film opened to $132.4 million and until today has collected $285.6 million in the USA and Canada. In addition, Deadpool has grossed $324.1 million in the rest of the world in just 17 days and is currently sitting on $609.8 million worldwide. Everybody who is slightly interested in the box office and everybody who is following this channel is probably aware of the fact that in the last few weeks the comic book movie Deadpool shattered records after records at the box office. While the movie is still running in theaters and just finished its third weekend at the domestic box office, we still want to give this film kind of a special analysis, since it really came literally out of nowhere. Deadpool went through production hell, just like Mad Max Fury Road did. Talking for a Deadpool film started sometimes around 2001, and multiple setbacks in the production history of Deadpool led over a decade past until the film went finally into production in September 2014. While Deadpool has a big fan base and is very liked by comic book fans and especially X-Men franchise fans, Fox was very uncertain about how big the audience will be for Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds and his team received a $58 million budget. That amount of money lands somewhere in the mid-budget range and is really on the lower end budget-wise when it comes to comic book movies. Also, they gave Reynolds and Tim Miller pretty much every freedom that they wanted, and the R rating that they targeted was also quite a risk for the movie, since Watchmen proved that an R rating for a comic book movie is maybe not the best idea. Nevertheless, all trailers released before the opening weekend of Deadpool were well received by fans and Fox was then very convinced that the movie will do positive business. First predictions had Deadpool at 30 to 40 million on the 3-day weekend and at 45 to 50 million over the 4-day President Day weekend. But then Deadpool started its unique, extremely intelligent marketing campaign. With several great ideas, the team behind Deadpool caught the attentions from a lot of people and the predictions went up to 40 to 50 million for the 3-day weekend and 50 to 60 million for the 4-day weekend. If this prediction would have become reality, it would have broken expectations already, just with this. But Deadpool had other things in plan. It opened to 12.7 million from Thursday previews. With that, it beat the old February preview record from 50 Shades of Grey by $4.1 million. With that, Deadpool set also a new R-rated preview record, beating The Hangover Part 2's $10.4 million from 2011. With that number, the predictions went up insanely. Since comic book movies are normally very front-loaded, the industry experts were still a little bit pessimistic, when you really want to use this word in combination with Deadpool, and expected now a 70 to 77.5 million 3-day and an 80 to 90 million 4-day weekend. But Deadpool just stunned them all and grossed an absolutely insane 47.3 million Friday, beating the opening day record of February by $17.1 million, and with that the opening day record for an R-rated release by nearly $10 million. Finally, the film went on to gross $132.4 million over the 3-day weekend and $152.2 million over the 4-day weekend, setting new records for opening day R-rated, opening weekend R-rated, biggest winter opening, biggest February opening, biggest Thursday preview record, biggest President Day weekend, and the largest opening ever for Fox, beating Star Wars: The Revenge of the Sith by about $24 million. With that, Deadpool was the first R-rated movie ever to break $100 million on its opening weekend, and not only that, it broke the old R-rated opening weekend by $41 million, an absolutely insane distance. The crazy thing is that just like with Jurassic World last year, nobody saw this enormous opening weekend coming. The success of Deadpool came literally out of nowhere and the movie went on to perform great over the next 2 weeks. It dropped 57.4% on the second weekend and just 44.2% on the third weekend. Strong holds for an R-rated comic book movie, what was coming from a 4-day opening weekend, where the next drops are always a little bit higher. The weekdays were also quite nice, and right now the movie is sitting at $285 million domestically and over $600 million worldwide after just 17 days. The big question is though, where will Deadpool be able to go from here on? The current R-rated record holder is The Passion of the Christ, with a domestic total of $370.7 million. Deadpool would need to gross another $86 million in the domestic market to become the greatest R-rated movie of all time in the USA and Canada, a record that would have nobody seen coming. So how are the chances for that to happen? In the last week, Deadpool grossed $48.6 million from Monday to Sunday. When we now predict a 50% drop for every following week and give Deadpool the same release time of 300, around 18 weeks in total, Deadpool will gross another $50 million before leaving the cinemas. When it drops with about 40% from this weekend on, it will gross another $72.7 million before leaving the cinemas, and with that overtaking American Sniper for the number 2 spot of all time. When it drops about 30% from week to week, it will finish with about $397 million at the end. With that, it would overtake The Passion of the Christ and would sit on the R-rated box office throne. Since the great reviews, the A cinema score and the high ratings on IMDb and other sources indicate better holds over the long run than 50% drops, we personally think it will land somewhere around the 40% drop range, with $352 million in the domestic market, which indicates drops of about 42% for the rest of the run. Overall, we think Deadpool has a good shot to gross at least $440 million overseas for a combined worldwide total at the end of $792 million. With that, it will be the 4th highest grossing movie in the domestic market for Fox ever, just behind Star Wars Episode 3. It will be the highest grossing movie out of the X-Men franchise, and it has a realistic shot of a top 5 place finish at the end of this year, and is a lock for the 3rd, maybe even 2nd highest grossing R-rated movie of all time. And always remember, all of that without 3D, which would help the movie's gross enormously. Deadpool is a box office juggernaut. Such an outstanding performance is really a rare thing to witness, and it exceeded all expectations already by miles. It couldn't have done any better, so the Game of Box Office team rates Deadpool with the grade A. Our upcoming video will be an analysis about Avatar, The Hangover, or a prediction about Finding Dory. We hope you enjoyed this analysis. Be sure to hit a like and subscribe to our channel. You can also support us on the social networks listed below. See you soon. Bye bye.